News Channel 5 Network. This is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. Good show tonight, and we want to hear from you. This show really tonight is about you. It's an opportunity for you to call in with questions or comments or thoughts on what you're going through. Many people are caring for an elderly loved one. And tonight we're going to talk to an attorney who can give us some advice on things we can do to help make that process maybe a little bit easier. What are some financial things and others? So we want to hear from you. We hope you'll call us. There's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Happy to have with us Barbara Boone McGinnis, elder law attorney from Takis McGinnis. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you for having us.
So the cost is the biggest thing, right?
A lot of people do worry about the cost of long-term care, and it's really quite understandable because it's very expensive. You know, we worry about how long we're going to need long-term care. How can we predict what it's going to cost in the future? So we do have some updated numbers about costs for long-term care. And
how much it would cost to what?
Now, how much would it cost now to be in a nursing home?
Okay.
How much would it cost now if we were looking at assisted living? Or if you're paying for care at home. So there's different levels of long-term care, but if you're thinking about custodial care, nursing home care, in the state of Tennessee, new data says it's on average, it's going to cost $79,000 a year at a minimum, and if we're going to be in a private room, it's probably going to cost closer to $97,000. So we're talking about $80,000 to $100,000 a year for a nursing home bed. And, you know, that's worrisome to most people to think about. Am I going to need it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I going to need it? Is my spouse going to need that kind of level of care? Or you worry about your parents, you know, knowing how they're going to pay for that. Very few people actually have enough money, enough private income or net worth to pay for that kind of care out of their own checkbook,
right.
You know, just
I bet.
Every day in. But private funding is one way that care gets paid for. If you're fortunate enough that you've actually thought about it or worried enough about it that you've planned for long-term care insurance, that's another way care gets paid for, right? I had a client in the other day, and or a potential client, and we were talking about a little bit of money, long-term care insurance, and then how do we use veterans benefits too, and the sequencing of using these assets. He didn't want mom to use the long-term care insurance just right off the bat. He wanted to save it for when things got more expensive. And I'm like, let's use it while we can, you know, because, well, one, it helps save her personal wealth longer, stretches out her money longer. You know what's the big thing about folks worry about with long-term care insurance? You probably have heard it yourself. They worry about, well, what if I buy long-term care insurance but I die before I use it?
Right.
And then I've paid for all of that, and so it's like, well, let's use it when we can, you know, as soon as we can.
So long-term care insurance is a great thing. That's something. When do you think somebody should buy long-term care insurance? When do you start paying for it?
Well, you start looking at long-term care insurance policies, I think, when you're in your 50s probably, because, yeah, that's probably means
depressing.
Like...
Well, we're getting pretty close here.
Yeah, that's probably us, you know?
Yeah.
We start looking at long-term care insurance when we're in our 50s, mostly because it's easier to get approved. You know, we're probably still in good enough health that we can pass the physical and actually get the long-term care insurance. Premiums are going to be less at that point in time. Premiums will probably grow as we get older. And there are new products, hybrid products, that are life insurance policies that have a long-term care rider to them. Because even though we don't know if we're actually going to ever need long-term care, custodial long-term care, we do know that we're going to die one day.
Right, right.
And so people feel like those premiums then are well spent because someone's still going to benefit from that at some point in time. A good conversation to probably have with your insurance person or your financial advisor to say, am I positioned to where it makes sense for me to invest in long-term care insurance or one of these hybrid policies?
So you have a parent or you yourself, or you're in your 70s. Is that an appropriate time, or is the insurance going to be really high to start looking at long-term care insurance?
It's probably not going to be impossible to get, but it may be cost prohibitive at that time because you've either accumulated diagnoses that are going to work against you, or your premiums are going to be so high you might as well just be in a self-funding stage. You know, so I'm thinking 50s, 60s, that's the time that you're looking at long-term care insurance.
And at what point do you go into a nursing home, in your opinion? It's a last resort, right? The goal is to stay out as long as possible, because those things that's so expensive, what you're talking about.
It is so expensive. It's also a quality of life thing. People giving up some control. Folks usually don't want to leave their home unless it's absolutely positively necessary. Some of the biggest reasons why people go into nursing homes would be if there are multiple activities of daily living that you need assistance with. Like you can't get out of the bed or chair by yourself, you might not be able to feed yourself. Bathing, dressing, those are activities of daily living that's really comfortable in an assisted living facility. So it's that ambulation and mobility that makes it necessary perhaps to be nursing home level as opposed to assisted living. Feeding, and incontinence. Incontinence moves folks out of the home into long-term care, probably more than anything else other than just behavioral issues related to dementia.
That makes sense. And how would you recommend someone go about choosing a nursing home? So I have a parent and I'm very worried about things I've seen in the media where, you know, some bad things can happen here and there, and that's just horrifying. It's the worst thing I could imagine, that I would put my parent in a place and something terrible would happen to them. How do we go about that whole process?
Right. The first thing that I think is real important is that you actually visit these places. You would go different times of the day to visit. You know, at this point you're assessing facilities, looking for that right fit. Observe the residents that are in the hallways or in dining room areas. Look at the activity calendars, look at the meal, the menus that they're providing. If most every facility is going to be very happy to tour you on the facility. Show up on a weekend and see what staffing's like. Are the call lights just ringing off the wall, or are people still being well attended to? Because there's a lot more staff there on Monday through Friday, or at least the appearance of staff, because you have all the administrative staff, everybody's there Monday through Friday. On the weekends, it's mostly just the nursing staff. So it looks like there's less staffing, but maybe not the staffing that's really going to impact the care of your loved one.
Right.
But visit across time, you know, assess with your nose as well, see what the place smells like. What does the place feel like? How are the staff kind and welcoming of you, or do people just ignore you in the hallway? Choose a place that's convenient so that you can actually stay involved with your loved one on a regular basis. Thinking that you can show up just once a month or so and check in and do a dutiful visit is probably naive.
Right.
You know, staying involved with your loved one is real important. And then there is a site. It's a Medicare Compare site. So it's like MedicareCompare.gov or something like that. And you can see there, you do your own comparisons, complaints, survey results. What kind of star rating do they have? And a lot of that is self-reporting information, but it's a good place to start. Look for testimonials and find out, you know, talk to people that have been in, that have lived in these places or who's had families that live there. In our firm, we have 2 elder care coordinators. So they're non-lawyer professionals that work with us that actually help our families choose facilities, and they can give them some real life input. What are some of our other clients telling us about these facilities? Who's good, who's not so good right now?
Is it hard? Would you say there's some, clearly you see the reports, there's some you should avoid.
Right.
How difficult is it to really find a good one?
I think it is fairly difficult to find a good one, and they certainly are great nurses, great therapists, great administrators out there. You get a great facility when you get a lot of those people in the same place, you know. So it is possible, and some of it depends on what's really important to you. Is it the aesthetics of the building, or is it maybe just the stability of the staff,
right?
And the care and nurturing of the staff.
We have a couple calls. Let's go to John. Hello, John.
Yeah.
Hi. What's on your mind?
What I wanted to know was if the question I asked even had anything to do with what they are talking about now.
Well, give us a try. What's on your mind? What's your question?
Okay, I had to retire early because of my elderly father. My mother passed away in January, and my elderly father is 88, he'll be 89 in December. And I've been stipulated as the home health care giver, I guess you'd call it. I can't leave, go anywhere, because my other 4 brothers, one has cancer, and one lives in Florida, and the other one is a EMT captain fire department in another city. And what I was wondering is, I can't get insurance, and I was just wondering if there's any way I have had 2 toes amputated and have Crohn's disease. Is there anyone I can call and ask if there's any way I can get Medicare or TeamCare?
Okay.
Well, actually, that's a very good question. Some of that depends then on his work record. Could he apply for Social Security disability? If you apply for Social Security disability, then you're eligible for a Medicare benefit after 2 years. So that's not going to help in the short run. We're looking at marketplace coverage in the short run. If he qualifies for SSI, so this is all through the Social Security Department. If he qualifies for SSI, then he could go on TennCare immediately. That TennCare is the insurance that goes with the supplemental security income. So the first step would be to call Social Security or go to a Social Security office and see what he would qualify at that point. But those are about the only 2 ways that he's going to get either one of those benefits now, unless he would meet some other medical criteria for TennCare.
And I'm glad he called, because he's a person that's in this situation where he's struggling himself, but he's caring for an 88-year-old father,
right.
I believe, and that's a tough place to be.
Right. He's not going to naturally qualify for Medicare until he turns 65, so it would be one of those Social Security disability things. Sorry, I've talked all day.
No, that's fine. Let's take a break. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We want to hear from you. Any questions you have about caring for a loved one, or questions about your own situation. Hold on the line, Tommy and others. Take a break. Be back right after this.
This